Let's join our palms with reference, and together we're inviting His Holiness to bestow Buddha Dharma teaching. First, we would like to pay homage to the lineage gurus, to the Venerable Mang Ming, to Master Sakya Zengkong, homage to the 16th Dharma King Karmapa and Master Thupten Tarje. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. And homage to the main deity of the group practice this evening, Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. Simu, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, and temple directors and disciples present here and over the webcast, and our special guest today, the wife of the Secretary General Liao of the Coordination Council of North America of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of China, Dharma Sister Judy. She's at the office there. And accountant to the True Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa. And producer for the Illuminating Your Heart of CTI TV Taiwan, Dharma Sister Rebecca. And the attorney to the True Buddha Foundation, Ms. Zhou Huifang and her son. Good evening, how do you do? In Taiwanese, Cantonese, thank you very much. Cantonese. Today we practice Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva as the main deity, and just now we have said that Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva has this great vow that before the hell is empty, he vows not to become a Buddha. He would become a Buddha after the hell has been emptied. And Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva is not only residing in hell, but also in the 6 realms, in the human realm, in the heavenly realms, and in any realm there is Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. And he has a Buddha land called the Trevi Buddha land. And very few people knows. So Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva has a tremendous vow. That's why we call Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva with the great vow, which is he would not become a Buddha until the hell is empty, which means that he would be the last one to become a Buddha. Typically, Buddhahood, there are 3 different kinds. The first kind is that the king style. What does it mean? Is that he would become a Buddha first. Oh, the voice is not clear. So he would become a Buddha first. And after he becomes a Buddha, he would deliver sentient beings to become a Buddha. So this is like Sakyamuni Buddha, that he would become a Buddha first, and then he propagate Buddha Dharma to help other sentient beings to become a Buddha. So that's the king style. And the second kind is like a ferry carrier. So it's like the Dharma boat. So whoever that sit on the same boat would arrive at the other shore together and would attain Buddhahood or become a Buddha together at the same time. So this is the boat style, which is you're riding on the same boat and arriving at the other shore together. So when he becomes a Buddha, the sentient beings also become a Buddha. And the third kind is Siddhikarma's kind, and that's called the shepherd style. And how is that? You know, the shepherd always walks last. After he guide or herd all the sheep to arrive at the destination, and then he would become a Buddha last. So Siddhikarma said that when the hell is empty, then he would become a Buddha. So in the realm of enlightenment, in the true enlightenment state, then you would comprehend better Siddhikarma Bodhisattva. Then you would better comprehend Siddhikarma Bodhisattva and hell and his vows, the so-called hell. So they are just spoken. So in the heart of the enlightened ones, I cannot say it so clearly. I could only say it's only be spoken not directly, but discreetly. And Siddhikarma Bodhisattva is a manifestation of the golden Padmakumara. And earlier, during the group practice, Siddhikarma Bodhisattva did descend. Actually, every time we have group practice or in fire offering, Grandmaster always has a response, spiritual response, the meeting between spirits. So when there is this spiritual response, it's like the electricity and electricity meeting up. Then we would know that that means the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas descend. Every evening we chant Amitabha Buddha from Monday to Friday evening. Here at the temple hall, the great hall, we would chant Amitabha Buddha. At that time, when you are mindful of Amitabha Buddha here at the brow, or that he is huge and tall. His body is golden, and his face, and in his hand he's holding a golden lotus. And you visualize him. When you have this thought amidst the chanting of the Buddha, and generally there is always spiritual response. So our chanting is excellent every time here at the Great Hall. There is always spiritual response. And today I also felt the coming of Siddhikapa Bodhisattva. So I prayed for him that the hell would become empty soon, and that you would attain Buddhahood soon, that you don't have to work so hard in hell to salvage the worst kinds of sentient beings there. But in reality, in this human world, when you watch TV, there are a lot of cruelties that happened, that there are no kindness in the human hearts, no mercy, no compassion. They always want to harm others. And there are also some subconsciously harming. Or it's like they just want to harm anyone. Doesn't matter whom they are. They may not know these people, or they may not have any reasons. They just harm them out of nothing. So the human hearts are too evil these days. There's also a kind of hell where people harm others or kill others. And killing doesn't necessarily have to use guns or knives. They can kill someone with pen or with their mouths, or with pens. That's also considered killing or harming others. As Buddhists, we don't do that. Please remember, as Buddhist practitioner, we have to have a tender heart. There's no need to be so cold and hard. We have to have a soft heart. Like Sakyamuni Buddha in the teachings of the Great Perfection Dharma, he taught us that our human hearts need to be soft and gentle, tender. We need to learn about humility. Actually, each religion is the same. Christianity also talk about humility. Don't be too arrogant. Because for anything, if you think from a different angle, it may not be like what you think. So that's why for a spiritual cultivation, we need to be introspective, and we need to be hard on ourselves, but very tolerant toward others. But we need to be disciplined or strict toward ourselves. That's why we need to have a kind and gentle heart and a humble heart. and never to hurt or harm others. So, for those who cultivate spiritually, the first level of the Great Perfection Dharma is the Sravakas, or the solitary hearers. They only liberate themselves. They don't salvage other beings, but the key point there is that they never harm others. That's the Sravakahood. So the most basic step or stage of Great Perfection Dharma is Sravakahood. And even in that most basic level, you can't even accomplish not harming or hurting others. Then you're not considered a spiritual cultivator, you're just a mundane person. Because a spiritual cultivator would never harm others. And when you reach Bodhisattvahood, not only they don't harm others, they also help them. They also help others. So they're considered Bodhisattva, Sravakas, and Bodhisattvas. And they are both the stages of the Great Perfection Dharma. And Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva generated bodhicitta, which is the mind for enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings. And he also salvaged sentient beings at the worst realm, which is hell. He is also salvaging beings there. And today we will continue to expound on the Great Perfection Dharma. So today, inside the Great Perfection Dharma, about looking at your mind. So you need to gaze at the sun, gaze at the moon, and gaze at the lamp, and also gaze at the light or flame. But it didn't mention about gazing at the stars, so Grandmaster today will talk about gazing at the stars. This is a joke. There's an inventor that asks a couple, what can I do for you? And the man said, I hope you invent a kind of cigarette, and when women see this cigarette, they would fall asleep fast. And the wife said, I hope you invent eye drops so that when the men use them, they don't see any other woman or treat the other woman as the old ugly lady other than his wife. At the Tribuddha Foundation office, Grandmaster saw a letter that was written by a woman, and she said, please write a charm or talisman for me. She said, she wrote in the letter, and the talisman of Fu is so that my husband never look at other women other than me. When I saw this letter written by this woman, I personally felt that sentient beings are sentient beings because they always think for themselves. think about it. You know, actually, sometimes you need to think for others. You know, like the eyes. How come you ask Grandmaster to write a fool so that your husband only see you and never see any other woman? Of course, such a talisman of fool doesn't exist. I just want you to live in harmony and love each other and respect each other, no matter what. You need to harmonize your husband's heart so there's no evil thoughts or evil heart or infidel actions. That's what's important. So today, in practicing the Great Perfection Dharma, I'm teaching you this. I teach you to gaze at the sun, at the moon, at the lamp, at the flame, and also at the stars. But gazing at the stars was never mentioned in the books. But Grandmaster is telling you that gazing at the stars is also very important. There's a children's song that is about the stars. Let me try to sing it. In the beautiful sky, the bright tiny stars appearing, and they look like my mother's kind, loving eyes. The stars are beautiful, especially in the middle of the night when you wake up and look at the sky and the stars. Wow, so many, especially at dawn. Sakyamuni Buddha attained enlightenment, gained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. And that night, the new moon has passed and the middle moon had passed, and the fourth or the fifth stroke of the clock, it's the skies, there's a stroke of light, and at that last watch the Buddha gazed at the sky, and in the east there is a bright star, and he gained enlightenment. He was enlightened. So he gained enlightenment from looking at the stars. That's why we have to look at the stars. Sakyamuni Buddha gained enlightenment after seeing the stars, so we also want to gaze at the stars and gain enlightenment. And also Akasagarbha Bodhisattva. His Pure Land is the stars. The stars. And Kobudaiji, he was practicing Akasagarbha Bodhisattva in the cave. And there was a comet that was sparkling with light and entering into his mouth. Then Kobudai's memory become very good, and he never forget after reciting the sutras. So whatever he reads or sees, he would remember. So this is related to the stars. So Grandmaster often teach us to look at the sky or to look at the stars. For what? Is to open your hearts, to open your minds. Don't place rubbish or garbage or minor things inside your heart. So that is spiritual cultivation. We need to open our hearts and minds. The heart should be wide open, should be like the sky, as spacious as the sky, that can embrace everything. That's why someone said that the belly of the Prime Minister can hold a big ship. At least you want to become a great person, that you have an open heart, wide open heart and wide open mind. Not like those small-minded people or squabbling people, and they hide and they keep all minor things inside their hearts or inside their intestines. You know, it's like turtles looking at the mung beans. The more they look at it, the bigger the beans become. But there are lots of people like that in this world. But I'm teaching you to look at the sky, to look at the stars. They're so beautiful. Every night, Grandmaster, see the sky, the stars on the sky. And prior to falling into sleep, visualize the stars radiating light upon me. You know, once I went to visit the dream house, and in the bedroom, on the ceiling, when you turn off the lights, there are lots of stars on the ceiling. You can see lots of stars in the bedroom. And you sleep, and you are falling into sleep by hugging the stars. That's so nice. So Sakyamuni Buddha saw a star, and strictly speaking, in the terms of enlightenment, it's not the stars at the night sky, but the stars of his heart, the stars inside his heart. That's the true gazing of the stars. When you look at the stars are actually inside your heart. The stars will come into your heart, will enter into your heart. And the Buddha saw such a bright star, which means that the Buddha saw his own Buddha nature. And after seeing the Buddha nature, then you attain Buddhahood. When you see the inner Buddha nature, then you attain Buddhahood. And in the Great Perfection Dharma, Grandmaster wrote that you have to gaze at the stars, not to see the stars outside, but the stars inside your heart. But first, you train by looking or gazing at the stars outside, and move the stars to your brow point, and here you place a star, and there's a starlight right there. And the star moves downward to your heart and moves further downward to Dantian, which is the forefinger with below the navel. And the star can also move upward to the heart and move further upward to the brow point. So brow chakra, heart chakra, and navel chakra. So the star is moving inside the central channel. The starlight is inside the central channel, moving up and down. So when spiritual cultivator gaze at the stars, and then you lie down and both arms open, both legs open, and visualize the stars of the sky to your brow chakra, and then moves inside the central channel to your heart chakra, and then down to the navel chakra, always inside the central channel. And you often gaze at the stars, and then you accept another star, accept another star, the third, fourth, and so on. And this star represents your yidam, or main deity. And the yidam also has the yidam mantra. For example, Vairukana Buddha, the sixth syllable of the deity. For Vairukana is Han, is like this. Han. When you visualize the star to your brow chakra, there would be a Han, sixth syllable or character, and then moving down to the heart, there's still the Han, and then down to the Tantien, there's still the Han character. Do you know what function this has? This is the same as the empowerment or blessing from the yidam. That through the starlight, that at your brow chakra, heart chakra, and Tantien, there are yidams or the main deity. The dad asks his daughter, so that guy that's after you is really too shameless. He stayed so late last night. What did mom say? And the daughter said, Mom said, how come he's like your dad when they were young? But when we seek Buddhism, we always chase closely, follow closely. And every day we have to practice a certain amount of Dharma practice. That we are attached to the stars and the stars attached to us, and we become closely connected. And the stars are your yidam, and you often invoke the starlight to enter into your brow, to your heart, to your Tantien. And here sometimes an eye would appear. And at the heart chakra there would also be an eye. And at the navel chakra there would also be an eye. And at the end, eventually, all the starlights enter into your body, and your body is filled with starlights, as many as the pores of your skin. Then at this time, you would be called that your whole body is filled with eyes. So in the Great Perfection Dharma, teaches you to have eyes all over your body. And this Dhamma practice starts by gazing at the stars. So this book number 63, which is the Tantric Great Perfection Dharma, this is talking about gazing at the stars. So Prince Siddhartha, which is Sakyamuni Buddha, So it's a description of Sakyamuni Buddha seeing the star, which is seeing the Buddha, his own Buddha nature. All sentient beings do not cultivate and they are not awakened. At that time, only Sakyamuni Buddha is awakened. And this statement is the key point. All sentient beings would know about ceasing. When they know about ceasing, then they would know about enlightenment and they would gain the wisdom of the world. So when sentient beings are completely extinct, then they gain enlightenment, and that's the wisdom of all the worlds. And the Buddha of the past is the enlightenment Buddha, Ranteng, and had confirmed the name of the future Buddha, Sakyamuni. So at that time, Sakyamuni Buddha knew. He gained enlightenment and he saw the Buddha nature and attained Buddhahood. So the east star that Sakyamuni Buddha saw was actually the heavenly star inside his own heart, inside his body, not externally. And this heavenly star is light, and that's seeing his own Buddha nature. We want to look at the stars on the sky and imprint them on our heart. And we have to do a few things. First, you need to first learn the mind of meditation. There are 9 stages of meditation that I taught in Singapore, the Kalachakra 9-stage meditations. And second is the pure mind, or the mind of purity. Is your mind pure or contaminated? Do you still have selfishness? What is the mind of purity or pure mind? Is a mind that is uncontaminated. This is a joke. A man is arguing with the woman, and the man stormed the doors and left. And the woman asked him, "What time are you coming back?" And he said, "If I'm coming back, then I'm a jerk." So that means they broke up. So, and the girlfriend locked the door decisively. And 2 hours later, the man knocked on the door and kept saying, Grandma, I'm back." In Chinese, jerk is like the grandson. So he's calling the girl grandma. This is a play of words in Chinese. So by telling this joke, I'm saying people would always have tempers. When we lose our temper, then we don't have a pure mind. So their minds are also contaminated, maybe by a few words. So arguing is contamination. So you need to extinguish your temper or send it off. Then you're fine. Then you are purified. Then you become pure. So no matter what, when you are about to lose temper, think about it. Where does it start? You need to find the cause and then throw it away. And after you throw it out, your mind becomes pure, becomes an uncontaminated mind. This is important because some people, when they get mad or get angry, sometimes for a lifetime, I said some women, when they get angry and they remember everything, all the fights that we had from the very beginning. When she lost a temper, they exaggerated all the problems that they had from the very beginning and continually nagging and nagging and nagging for a long time. So that's not a pure mind, that's a contaminated mind. Why do you keep all this rubbish in your heart? Because after it's passed, it should have been swept away, should be swept away. And the mind of the present should be emptied, and the mind of the past even more so should be emptied. Then your mind becomes pure. If you still have those stuff inside your heart or mind, then the starlights would never appear, could never appear. So from the starlights outside, entering into you, through the brow to the heart to the navel, and then gradually and eventually until your whole body is filled with starlights, then you need to be pure. But if you always keep all this garbage and rubbish inside your heart, let me share a joke. But it's not a joke, it's a true story. Someone read my book, and inside my book I talk about Jia Jia and Yu Yu. And there's a woman that regarded herself to be Jia Jia. And every day, she always asks me, so who is the other Yu Yu? So who is this Yu Yu? And then there's another woman that thinks that she is Yu Yu, and she always asks me, Grandmaster, who that Jia Jia really is? And I said, oh no. Couldn't you just empty Jia Jia and Yu Yu? Those are you. Just let them go. And only at that moment, the starlights would appear. The starlights of your heart would appear. But inside Jia Jia's heart, there's Yu Yu. And inside Yu Yu's heart, there's Jia Jia. And they're always arguing and talking about that, and Jia Jia and Yu Yu are arguing and fighting with each other endlessly. So they have no meditative mind, and they don't have pure mind. They don't have uncontaminated mind. Every day you're nagging and worrying about that, then you're afflicted. But to learn Buddhism, you need to be unafflicted. Grandmaster is very happy because Grandmaster has no afflictions. It's not that Grandmaster does not have any afflictions, but the happiness is far beyond the afflictions. Of course, afflictions do occur, but it's very few and far in between. and they're gone once I sweep it off. Of course, every single human being would have some afflictions or troubles or worries, but you can just sweep it away really lightly, and then you use the starlights to enter into your heart, and then gradually to fill it, and then until your body, your whole body is filled with starlights and you have no other contaminants inside. Then you would reach the mind of no affliction. And the reasons why Grandmaster has no afflictions, because Grandmaster treats the afflictions as emptiness, as nothing, as no big deal. I don't care. When you don't care about anything, then you have no afflictions whatsoever. You know, some people often say that reputation is our second life. But Grandmaster is someone that doesn't even want reputation. Someone asked me, Grandmaster Lu, you don't want face? And Grandmaster replied, truly, Grandmaster doesn't want face. What do we want face for? But which face? The face of the baby that was just being born, the face of my youth, the face of my middle age, the face of when I gain weight, or my current face? No. In a few years, someone would take a 90-year-old picture, and a lot of people show me that, and I thought, ooh, there's all the age spots here and all over. So how good could a 90-year-old person look? And the hair is white and no teeth. No more teeth. And the eyes, like the dead fish eyes. So, is that face of when you're old? No, you don't want any of those. So, spiritual cultivation is about taking away all those rubbish and garbages. So, we would have the mind of meditation, the mind of purity, the mind of uncontamination, and the mind of no afflictions. You know, Grandmaster, when he was young, had very long eyelashes. But now, my eyelids are drooping, so covering my eyelashes. I didn't know that people would wear fake eyelashes. Some people, it would fall to the side, and some people even planted the eyelashes, and their eyes look bigger and brighter, and lift up the corners of the eyes, so the eyes would become bigger. But Grandmaster's eyelids droop now, that cover the long eyelashes. So nowadays it looks as if I have no eyelashes. So Simu was the one that told me, your eyelashes before were long. Now I don't see any. Because the eyelids droop nowadays. Otherwise, to lift them up, I have to get an injection of Botox. So mind is important. Face changes all the time. So to train in spiritual cultivation is we want to train to not want any face or reputation. Don't place it in your heart. We don't want any more face. I don't want any face. You don't want any face. Nobody wants any face. Then we have no problems whatsoever. If you still want this face, then you would start arguing. So we need to learn the spirit of not wanting face. In Chinese, not wanting face is not keeping the we need to empty everything. We need to empty all of our thoughts too, and everything. So actually, Sakyamuni Buddha, prior to enlightenment, he was training at all time. That he practiced asceticism for 6 years, and his meditation, he could reach the no thought and no non-thought realm, which is very, very high realm. So it's not thought and it's not non-thought, but there is still a little bit of thought, but that's already very high realm, the heavenly realm of no thought and no non-thought. So you could say that all the rubbish, the garbage of your hearts and mind are emptied completely. And then he opened his heart chakra and see his Buddha nature. And the starlights enter into his body to radiate upon his own heart or Buddha nature and attain Buddhahood. That's why gazing at the stars are important. And to invite the stars inside and then sweep away the contaminants. So more starlights and less contaminants, and more starlights and less contaminants, and more starlights until your whole body is filled with the starlights, until your whole body is all eyes, because the stars are like eyes, until you have attainment. So this is the method of gazing at the stars. And eventually you look beyond or go through all the ignorance or foolishness. So you sit in a Vajra lotus position, and gaze at the sun, moon and stars revolving, and that your physical body and the whole sky merge to become one. That's the method. So what I just said was very important. So if you can accumulate the starlights inside your body, that these starlights would become your starlight bodies. So when you travel out of body, then there would be lots of lights, lots of stars flying from your body. And when there's a star flying out of your body, that's another you. And you can make many, many stars flying out of you. Innumerable, millions, trillions, eons of them. So Tantric Buddhism is also called the religion of the power of the mind. So we rely on the power of the mind to have the star to come into our brow point, at the heart, and at the Dantian. So the three lights, the three stars, are like the three eyes that are reflecting upon each other, and you continually increase it until your whole body is filled with light. Prior to a wedding ceremony, the minister told the bride's father, bring your daughter. When you bring your daughter to the altar to give it to the groom, please say a few words. And the father is the owner of a convenience shop, and he didn't know anything. He didn't know what to say. And when he placed the hand of his daughter to the hand of the groom, he said, it's no return policy once you buy it. And we are also this way. When the star enters into you, don't push the star out from your body again with the garbage. So don't push the star out because you have rubbish inside. So you want to keep the starlight inside your body, and instead you want to throw away the garbage. That's the power of the mind. Think about the stars on the sky entering into your brain to become an eye, and then enter into your heart chakra to become an eye, and then enter into your navel chakra to become an eye. And the lights of these three eyes are looking at each other. The upper eye looking at the middle eye looking at the bottom eye, and the bottom eye looking at the middle eye looking at the top eye. In this way, at the central channel, there are three eyes. And that's how you practice the third eye too. The eye here at the brow point. You know the white Tara, he has an eye on his palm here, another palm, and both soles of the feet. And then one at the brow point, and these two eyes. And they're looking at each other. The eyes are looking at each other. Two on both palms, and three here, 5 plus 2 on the soles. Total for 7 eyes. 2 eyes on the soul. That's for white Tara. So white Tara, typically, the statue has 7 eyes, and we want more eyes, and we want to practice the third eye. You place the starlight here to become an eye, and then more and more repeatedly, more and more stars and more starlights, and truly it would become an eye. And at this time you would be able to see and watch yourself, the inward of you. If there is any garbage inside that need to be thrown away. Om Mani Padme Hum.